Hello everyone! Welcome back to our video tutorial in Math 9. This is a continuation about trigonometric ratios of special triangles. But this time, I will guide you on how to answer the assimilation part in your week 2 fourth quarter. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start. Okay, so number 1, use the theorems of 30, 60, 90 degrees right triangle to solve the unknown variables of x and y and find the 6 trigonometric ratios. Okay, so as you can see dito sa ating number 1, meron tayo dito 30, 60, and 90 degrees right triangle. Ang given measurement lang dito sa number 1 na ito ay yung kanyang hypotenuse, which is equal to 6. Okay, so bago natin hanapin yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 30 degrees angle at saka ng 60 degrees angle, kailangan muna natin alamin or hanapin kung anong value ng x and y sa triangle na ito. Okay? So, paano natin gagawin yun? Siyempre, magbe-base tayo dun sa concept ng 30, 60, 90 degrees special right triangle theorem niya. So, ito yon. Itong side na kaharap ng 90 degrees natin, ito yung hypotenuse. Sabi dito sa theorem niya, the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. So, dahil hypotenuse lang yung given niya dito sa triangle na to. So, kapag tinoble daw natin yung measurement ng shorter leg natin, ito ay katumbas ng sukat ng hypotenuse. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kailangan natin kalahatiin yung hypotenuse para ito yung maging katumbas ng shorter leg natin. So, meaning, ang shorter leg natin ay equal to 3. Okay, so twice the shorter leg is equals the hypotenuse. So 3 times 2 is equal 6. Okay, so nasundan po. Okay, sunod. Sabi dito, yung longer leg naman, which is yung x. Okay, so yung longer leg naman is equal to the square root of 3. Constant yun. So the square root of 3 times the shorter leg. Okay? So since ang shorter leg natin is 3, times the square root of 3. So, ibig sabihin, ang longer leg na natin ay 3 the square root of 3. Okay? So, ayan, kompleto na yung sides ng triangle natin. So, pwede na natin alamin yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 30 degrees at saka ng 60 degrees. So, unahin muna natin hanapin yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 30 degrees angle natin. So, dito sa ating triangle, ibig sabihin, ang reference angle muna natin na gagamitin ay itong 30 degrees. So, kung ito yung reference angle natin, yung side na kaharap niya, ito yung opposite. At yung side na katabi niya, ito naman yung adjacent. Okay, so gamitin natin ulit yung soh-cah-toa para hanap natin yung mga value nito. Okay, so una muna nating isolve yung sine 30 degrees natin. Okay, para sa sine 30 degrees natin, so stands for opposite over hypotenuse. So yung opposite natin dito sa figure ay 3. Ang hypotenuse natin ay 6. So sine 30 degrees is equals to 3 over 6. So kung ilo-lowest term natin to, pwede natin silang i-divide pareho sa GCF niyang 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1 and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So, sine 30 degrees is equals to 1/2. Ayan. So, 1/2. Next, yung cosine 30 degrees naman natin ay gagamitin natin yung ka or adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ang adjacent natin, yan. So, ang adjacent natin ay 3 the square root of 3 over yung hypotenuse natin na 6. So, as you can see, pwede natin ma-simplify yung 3 over 3 na nasa labas ng radical sign. So, ang lowest term dyan ay okay, so 1/2. So, ang natira na lang natin ay 1 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 3 and 2. So, yan yung cosine 30 degrees natin. Okay, next. For tan 30 degrees naman, so ito naman ang gagamitin natin yung TOA, opposite over adjacent. So, ang opposite natin ay 3, ang adjacent natin ay 3 the square root of 3. So, pwede na natin ulit i-cancel yung mga numbers na nasa labas ng radical sign, which is yung 3. So, yan, cancel natin yan. So, ang natira na lang sa taas ay 1, sa baba ay 1 times the square root of 3. Okay, so we have 1 over the square root of 3. So, hindi pa to yung final answer kasi kailangan pa natin alisin yung radical sign sa denominator. So, ira-rationalize natin siya by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 3. So, 1 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 3, and the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is equals to 3. So, that is our tan 30 degrees. Okay. Okay, so para sa cosecant 30 degrees natin, kukunin lang natin yung reciprocal ng answer natin dito sa sin 30 degrees natin. Ang reciprocal ng 1/2 is 2 over 1 or 2 na lang. Okay, so yan yung cosecant 30 natin. Okay, so para sa second 30 degrees naman, kukunin naman natin yung reciprocal ng answer natin dito sa cosine 30 degrees, which is 2 the square root of 3. And then, ira-rationalize natin para maalis yung radical sign sa denominator. So, 2 times the square root of 3 is 2 the square root of 3 over 3. And that is our second 30 degrees. For cotangent 30 degrees naman, kukunin naman natin yung reciprocal ng answer natin sa tan 30 degrees, which is yung 3 over the square root of 3. So, ira-rationalize natin ulit to remove the radical sign in the denominator. So, 3 times the square root of 3 is 3 the square root of 3 over 3 times 3. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is equals to 3. So, pwede pa natin ito ma-simplify. So, ika-cancel natin yung 3 sa labas ng radical sign, tapos yung 3 dito sa denominator. And that's 3 divided by 3 is 1. So, ang natira na lang ay the square root of 3. And that is our cotangent 30 degrees. Okay, so yan yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 30 degrees angle natin. Next, let's fill in the value of the 6 trigonometric ratios of 60 degrees angle. So this time, ang reference angle naman natin ay si 60 degrees angle natin. So therefore, yung side na kaharap niya, ito na ngayon yung opposite side. Tapos yung side na katabi niya, ito naman yung adjacent side. Okay, so soh-cah-toa ulit ang gamitin natin. Okay, so unahin muna natin yung primary trigonometric ratios. So yung first three, itong sine, cosine, and tangent. Para sa sine 60 degrees, natin yung soh. Soh stands for sine is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So ang opposite na natin ngayon is 3 the square root of 3. Hypotenuse is 6. So we have sine 60 is equals to 3 the square root of 3 over 6. As you can see, si 3 and 6 ay pwede pa natin siyang i-lowest term. They are both divisible by 3. So, pwede natin silang i-divide by 3. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So, ang natira na lang ay the square root of 3 over 2. And that is our sine 60 degrees. For cosine 60 degrees naman, gamitin natin yung ka. So, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, adjacent natin is 3 over yung hypotenuse natin na 6. So, pwede natin siyang i-lowest term into 1/2. So, cosine 60 degrees is equals to 1/2. Next, for tangent 60 degrees, so TOA naman, opposite over adjacent. So, ang opposite natin ay 3 the square root of 3. Adjacent is 3. So, we have 3 the square root of 3 over 3. So, sis 3 at saka yung 3 dito sa denominator, pwede na natin yan i-cancel. So, 1 lang ang sagot sa kanila. So, ang natira na lang ay the square root of 3. That is tangent 60 degrees. Okay, so for the secondary trigonometric ratio, so kukunin lang natin yung mga reciprocal ng mga to. Si sine 60 degrees, ang reciprocal niya ay si cosecant 60 degrees. So, ibig sabihin, babalik na rin lang natin yung answer nila dito. So, we have 2 the square root of 3. And then, rationalize natin to remove the radical sign in the denominator. So, we have 2 the square root of 3 over 3. And that is our cosecant 60 degrees. For secant 60 degrees naman, ang reciprocal naman niya is yung cosine 60 degrees. So, babalik na rin lang natin yung answer ni cosine. So, ang reciprocal ng 1/2 is 2 over 1 or 2. Okay, so that is our secant 60 degrees. And last, yung reciprocal naman ng cotangent 60 degrees natin ay si tan 60 degrees. So, ang reciprocal ng kanyang answer na the square root of 3 is 1 over the square root of 3. So, i-rationalize natin yan to remove the radical sign sa denominator. So, our answer is the square root of 3 over 3. And that is for cotangent 60 degrees. Okay, next. Number 2 natin. So, ganun din ang gagawin natin katulad ng ginawa natin sa number 1. Pero this time, yung triangle na gagamitin naman natin is yung 45-45 special right triangle natin. Okay, so hahanapin din natin ulit yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 45 degrees. Pero bago natin mahanap yung 6 trigonometric ratios niya, kailangan muna natin hanapin kung ano yung value ng kanyang hypotenuse at saka nung isang leg niya. Okay? So, syempre, makakatulong dyan yung concept ng 45-45, 90 degrees right triangle theorem. Okay, so according dito sa kanyang theorem, the legs are congruent. So, ito yun. Ang given natin kasi dito is 10. So, ibig sabihin, isang leg niya is also 10. Now, for the hypotenuse naman, dito, hypotenuse is equals to the square root of 2. Constant yon. The square root of 2 times the leg. So, since ang leg natin is 10 times the square root of 2, so ang hypotenuse natin ay 10 the square root of 2. Dahil kompleto na yung measurement ng kanyang mga sides, so pwede na natin hanapin yung 6 trigonometric ratios ng 45 degrees. Ang unang isosolve muna natin yung primary trigonometric ratios, yung sine, cosine, and tangent, 45 degrees. Okay, so since 45 degrees yung reference angle natin, so yung side na kaharap niya, ito yung opposite. Yung side na katabi niya, ito yung adjacent. And of course, ito yung hypotenuse natin. So using the soh-cah-toa, ang sine 45 natin is opposite over hypotenuse, which is 10 over 10 the square root of 2. So, pwede na natin i-cancel yung dalawang 10 na yan. So, ang matitira na lang sa taas ay 1. Tapos sa baba naman ay 1 times the square root of 2 is 1 the square root of 2. Okay, so kailangan pa natin i-rationalize to by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2. So 1 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 2, and the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is equals to 2. So yan yung sine 45 degrees natin. For cosine 45 degrees naman, we will use ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ang adjacent natin ay 10, ang hypotenuse natin ay 10 over 10 the square root of 2. So, as you can see, si sine and cosine ay magkatulad lang po. Kaya, same answer din sila. Yan. Pagdating sa 45, 45, 90 ha, si sine and cosine, pati yung reciprocal niya ay magkatulad lang yung sagot nila. Okay? So, next, sa tan 45 degrees naman, we will use TOA. Opposite over adjacent. So, opposite is 10, adjacent is 10. So, 10 over 10 is equals to 1. So, yan yung tangent 45 natin. So, alam naman natin na yung cosecant 45 degrees, ang reciprocal niya ay yung sine 45 degrees. Kaya, kukunin lang natin yung reciprocal ng kanyang answer. So, cosecant 45 is equals to yung reciprocal ng answer ng sine 45, which is 2 over the square root of 2. So, para ma-remove natin yung radical sign sa denominator, kailangan natin i-rationalize by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2. So, 2 times the square root of 2 is equals to 2. The square root of 2 over the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is equals to 2. Okay, so, pwede pa natin itong ma-simplify. So, pwede natin i-cancel out yung 2 na nasa labas ng radical sign at saka yung 2 sa denominator. Okay, so yung natira na lang ay the square root of 2. So, that is for cosecant 45 degrees. Ang second 45 degrees naman, ang reciprocal niya ay cosine 45 degrees. And as you can see, yung answer ni sine 45 at saka ni cosine 45 ay same lang din. So, ibig sabihin, yung reciprocal din ni cosine ay pareho lang din sa reciprocal ni sine, which is yung the square root of 2. Kaya si second 45, ang value niya ay the square root of 2. Okay, so last, yung reciprocal naman. Okay, so last, for cotangent 45 degrees naman, ang reciprocal naman ni cotangent 45 degrees ay si tangent 45 degrees. So, ang reciprocal ng 1 ay 1 pa rin. So, yun yung value naman ng cotangent 45. Okay, so that's all for the assimilation. So, see you on my next video.